Well, yes, fingers crossed I will get consistent. Even signed up for an course in tapping, and I did, I think, two lessons out of 15, and they're still sitting in my inbox waiting to go through, and I'm just like, my life is crazy. I've got to be able to do this on the run. You know, I've got to remember.
You can do it on the run. You absolutely.
I realise that, and I just don't think about it, which is what annoys me the most.
No, we just wait for the big major drama.
And then we stop and go, oh, I should have been doing that. Yeah.
I understand. Yes, I get that.
Yeah.
I've been one of those too.
Need sticky notes everywhere.
Yes.
EFT.
Yes, exactly.
I'll think of it after the incident, like you've given, say, for the kids, for example, or yourself, and you do the old habits of what you used to do without remembering to do the EFT even, and then go, I should have done the EFT. That would have worked.
Yeah, well, see, and the stupid thing is you tell your clients to do it too, like your coaching clients. You go, oh, it's got to do this. It's you feel like such a fraud. You're just going, yes, okay, let's do this. You know, this is a fantastic thing to do, and you're not doing it yourself.
So then you have to have a routine.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you ladies have a routine.
No.
No. Okay.
No, well, see, Pauline will tell you, I mean, this is my second year in this place. I've moved 45 times. And I'm 49 years old, so that will tell you the sort of routine I've tried to set up. But at least we tend to have generally 2 to 3 meals a day. We generally tend to have our showers every day, and we generally tend to get our washing done every week. So that's probably about the loosest we can pretty much do. But yeah, and we get paid each fortnight. So, you know, at the end of the day, we've got those things in place. But routine, it eludes me. It really does elude me. And I need stronger routine. But by the time I've gotten around to even living life, and because I'm now working, it just becomes a joke. So
if you're wanting a routine for tapping, then you need to do it either while you're on the toilet, while you're doing your washing, while you're standing waiting for the kids to boil. All of those automatic routines that you already do,
yes,
just incorporate it.
Yes, that's a very good idea. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, you can just.
Yeah, I needed somebody like you to tell me that. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yes. Toilet's a great idea because nobody bothers you then.
Exactly.
Well, that depends if you have young ones.
Yes.
Different thing.
If they're toddlers, which they're not, they're teenagers. But then again, it's still, Mom.
Or the cat or the dog comes to visit you.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's a good point.
Sue, you and I were talking about the other day when we were chatting about all this, that morning routines, and you were talking about the kinetic energy, and a good idea in the morning to get things moving is to use tapping. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, so tapping is about releasing energy within the energy system. So to explain that a little bit more is we have systems in our body, and one of the systems that we have is the circulatory system, where the blood flows around the body, and you also have the energy system, which people don't really regulate to because it's not really discussed anywhere. So you know that the energy system exists because when you go red in the face, the energy system is talking to your body and going, outcome, red in the face. So a system is talking to you in that regard, or the butterflies that you get in the stomach, or the sweaty palms that you have. That's your energy system talking to you. And basically that is called the fight and flight response. So that's an energy system that gears you up for survival, I guess, would be the right word. So when you need to survive, you're either going to stay and fight or you're going to flight out of there. And what I mean by flight is you might be in a situation and you go, I just do not want to be here. Wish I could get out of here. But society says, no, you need to stay. And so you have to stay. And within that system, your body pumps around cortisol and then it reacts to your body. So you get people who want to run away, but they can't, so they're embarrassed and they get red in the face. Or they're feeling anxious and they get the butterflies in their stomach. So the system within our body supports that. And so that's potential energy, where it stays and then it's released through getting red in the face, or it's trying to be released with the butterflies in the stomach. So that stays there because that is an experience that people have had. And that experience that people have had is also called a memory. So that memory has come from another time that tells you in this present experience that you're having, I need to feel anxious, I need to be embarrassed, I need this, I need to do that, just because of the system in your body that is helping you to survive and reminding you of what to do.
Is that a little bit like what you're saying is like a mild, and that sounds fun, mild version of PTSD, basically? So,
yes, absolutely.
Because somewhere you don't actually know where it's come from, and sometimes, depending on what your belief system is, it could be like a past life memory or something like that coming up. And yeah, I have actually experienced this a lot, and literally in the last week, and it's been rather dramatic, which I was quite shocked at.
What's the emotion that you've been experiencing?
Well, it's like a PTSD of not being worthy and not being good enough, because and I know that's from my mother's side of the thing, because I've had to cut ties with my mother, and she was like narcissistic and quite cruel. I've started a job with working as a carer for a quadriplegic man, and I was getting on really well with all the other carers in the team, and it was all fantastic until one day this lady was starting to assert her authoritarianism, and it's like she said something to me and it absolutely triggered me, and I didn't know what to do. And I gave an excuse that I had, because she said to me, literally, as soon as she walked through the door, today you don't get to make any mistakes. Today you get to, you have to perform perfectly, and today you have to do everything right and no questions asked, and I will not be showing you. And I've only just been there like 3 months.
And how did that make you feel?
I felt sick. I felt sick. And
that reminded you of?
Well, I kept hearing, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And I went cold and I went quiet because I just didn't know what to do or what to say. And it literally shut me down, and I literally went about the rest of my, what happened then was I said to her, I've got an excuse today, I've got blood loss. And that's all I'm going to say, because I've had a particularly bad period. And she said, that's no excuse. Half the world have that. And I said, well, yes, but everybody else experiences it differently to everybody else. Like it doesn't, like not one size fits all. And that's all I said. And I literally only just got through the shift, and I got to escape. And the following day, I spoke to the quadriplegic man, who is essentially my boss, and he said, well, I spoke to her about that, and if you're not feeling well, don't come to work. And I turned around and I just burst into tears, and I said to him, I use that as an excuse because of this. This is what happened. This is what shut me down. And I've realized over the course of the years that it goes back to a situation when I was 11 of my father trying to commit suicide in front of us. And I felt helpless to stop it. And I wasn't good enough to stop it.
And from that experience, you learned something.
I learned that behavior. It was like, shut your mouth, do as you're told, and everything will be okay. But you will never be good enough. You know, and it was like, whoa. I didn't realise that was still affecting me like that because it's been such a long time since I've had an experience like that. But that shut me down big time. And I thought, I can't work with this woman. And he said, and I said, there's nothing wrong with the woman because prior to that we got on really, really well. It was just this circumstance that just went bang.
The trigger.
Yeah.
The trigger that reminds you, and that's your body reminding you.
Yeah.
That it's a threat. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And that would have to be the worst day of the worst period of my life, like literal physical menstrual cycle too. I only just made it home and I was like flooding. And I've never flooded like that before in my life.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I'm sorry for too many details. And if this is being recorded, then it was a situation I sat there and thought, well, we're all women, but I just think, wow, my body's also trying to purge what is going on here since I was a child. Because the stress factor, obviously, for whatever reason, is just going on all levels. Maybe the cortisol is making it go. I don't know. I don't know enough about the human body to say.
Well, I think we're all built to survive.
Yeah.
That's our core. We come into the world to survive.
Yeah.
As is every other animal on the planet, is to survive. And sometimes we put mechanisms and strategies in place to do that. And then sometimes you get to a place where it's triggered. And that's why they call was it called PSD?
PTSD.
PTSD, which is major trauma.
Yeah.
That has happened, and there's many events that create that. And so then you learn certain behaviours to cope because you need to survive. And then along with that comes emotions, anxiety, stress. And then within that becomes survival techniques on your everyday life where you don't want to re-trigger yourself. So you avoid all sorts of things because you know it's just humming underneath. Does that make sense to you? Does that ring bells?
Definitely. And you overeat and you become reclusive.
Yes.
And it all becomes too hard. Yep.
Yes, because you need relief. So our body is always trying to create balance, and within that, you try to get the relief that you can. Some people are really busy, so they overeat. Some people are really busy, so they overdrink. Some people are really busy, but they need the endorphins or the dopamines, so they do things to excess. And because we live in a busy world, and it's just, if we had time to get back into nature, we had time to sit and think and support networks to do that.
Sounds ideal. It sounds ideal.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about all this is like going back to that we're based on that survival instinct, fight and flight, and or freeze. You freeze on the spot. You have a panic attack and you freeze and you stop as all that energy is built up in your system. And I'm going back to thinking of children in particular, and they don't even have the history that we have as adults, and they can learn it from such an early age. And a lot of it's, it naturally has come through as a human nature, but it's whether or not they have the opportunity to release it. And that's where the emotional freedom technique is one of those techniques that can help release that built up energy and that built up emotions that we carry whether we're a child or whether we take it into adult years. And from hearing what you're saying too, if we're going back to that morning routine of the energy and the movement of the body, whether it be through tapping, like you say, and making it a routine, or walking or going out into nature and moving your body, then you are releasing some of that emotion and that energy that's in your system, so that you can start your day in a different
It's a different mindset. So, yeah, a little mindset, emotional mindset is a good way to start the day, but sometimes you end your day with that as well, with an emotional mindset.
Yeah, make it routine, like a meditation or like journaling or whatever. It becomes that to help you release and
and what I love about EFT, and it is also equally on my par, is with deep breathing. You know, when you're in the fight, flight or freeze, your breathing becomes really, really shallow, because that's part of it.
Absolutely.
And so to override that is to acknowledge. Acknowledge is really another big word in my world. You need to acknowledge and then go, okay, this is it, this is what's happening, and then breathe it in, or you acknowledge what's going on for you emotionally and tap it with the story, or breathe in with your story. And I heard a really lovely analogy the other day, because I'm a school teacher, and they're teaching students how to breathe deeply, because it seems to be the new word these days, that anxiety, feeling anxious and feeling stressed. So we're trying to give the kids strategies, and it is breathe in the soup. And that just goes straight down to the bottom of your lungs, and then you cool the soup. So that empties out your lungs. So that also gives you focus when you're breathing in and breathing out. But as far as EFT is concerned, with your energy system, when you're thinking about going somewhere or doing something into the future, that's where the tapping really supports you. Not for the big stuff, not for PTSD, because that needs a practitioner, but just to feel, Melissa, if you were thinking about doing something in the future, would there be an emotion that comes up for you in thinking about doing an interview or doing something?
Sure. Look, anything that involves me putting on any sort of front or example or performance of any description, there's nerves. There's ways of, like, will it be accepted? Will it be okay? Have I covered all my bases? Is there anything that I can do that actually, will make this easier for me?
So there's a lot of stories that I'm just hearing with you, Melissa, in that regard. But the one thing that I am, and that's okay, we all have stories.
Yep.
But the one thing that I am hearing is nervousness. So about going into the future, then you would use the EFT tapping in this regard, and I'm just going to share around. And little children also feel nervous as well about, what will the teacher think of me? What are my friends going to be saying to me? What if when I go to this outbound, or what do you call it? What do you do, Pauline? What do you call it? A connection on the outside of your home. Students will be feeling nervous when they have connections with other students that they don't really know. Sorry, what was that again, Pauline?
It's something that you need to learn, like even my son trying to do something last week, and all the apprehension that he had about this one thing, and that just caused quite a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. And you could probably organise that as I'm feeling nervous as well, because nervousness and anxiety is a little bit attached. So when you're thinking about that, I just want to share a tapping round with you so that whoever is listening to this into the future can do this with other people. So we have this point called the karate chop point. And if the children are needing to watch this, this is what I do, because they find spatially awareness, it's hard for them to do. So it's connecting that. So because we have what I explained before, potential energy inside of us, and kinetic energy is moving energy. So it's like dropping that pebble in the pond. It drops in and it dissipates. We're doing the same. This is the pebble and it dissipates within the body because that's the only way it can go. And it's using your energy system to do that. So I say to children, I'll use this as the first example, even though I'm feeling nervous, I'm a great kid. And my mum loves me. My dad loves me. Even though I'm feeling nervous. For an adult, even though I'm feeling nervous, thinking about whatever it is you need to be thinking about. Thinking about tomorrow. And then you put your story in there. So this is the main area where you put your story. And then you let that go. You acknowledge that this is causing you drama. And I'm a great person, even though I'm going through this stuff. And I like to say that your subconscious mind is listening to everything that you're saying. It's part of you. And it listens because it's part of you. You might have a reaction to that because your subconscious mind might go, do I love myself? Oh, actually, no, I don't really. But maybe one day I will love myself. So you're kind of talking to your subconscious mind. So here's the main story. Here's the main story. And all you do with the tapping rounds is, and your subconscious mind is listening, I'm nervous. I'm feeling nervous. Under the eye, I'm feeling nervous. Under the nose, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling nervous. On the collarbone, I'm feeling nervous. For students, Tarzan, I'm feeling nervous. With 8, for the children, I'm feeling nervous. On the bra line, for adults, I'm feeling nervous. There's meridians also running down here, which is your energy system. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling nervous. And you finish off up here, I'm feeling nervous. Then you would take a deep breath in because you've acknowledged all of that through your nose, smelling the soup and letting it go, cooling the soup. And then you would check in with yourself. How nervous, scale it from 0 to 10, or you can just check in and say, is that nervousness still there? And if it is still there, then you keep going with your just calm down. So that EFT round is only for what you're potentially going into, which has been triggered from other events in your life. But you can calm that down in the present time, just using that simple tapping round.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you what I can.
Yeah.
And like you and I were talking, Sue, that this is and something that's even that becomes deeper is something more of the what people used to call is the onion layer, that you're doing one level and going deeper and deeper, and that's when you actually need a practitioner, because as you do some of that work, then that brings up other things that need to be addressed. But if this is so we're using EFT today as a a way of calming down our emotions,
Yes.
I guess. And if you've got a
current present emotion.
Yeah.
If somebody needs to do more work, an EFT practitioner has other tools that they use so that it's not a scary experience. EFT is a very gentle way of tapping in and releasing, and it doesn't happen in one session because your subconscious mind would go, no way am I going to let you deal with that because it's too much for you. But an EFT subconscious mind goes, okay, I get that now. The subconscious mind is part of you, and so you need to but support it to go, okay, it's not such a big drama, because the subconscious mind's job is to alarm you. This is a threat. You don't like this stuff.
I feel like that about most anything to do with, crowds and things like that. I can't stand going into crowds and things like that. So I know that
there's a memory for you there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the Easter show.
Okay, so what was it about the Easter show?
I don't remember. To be honest, I just don't remember. I just remember just not liking crowds. It's just funny.
And that's a good thing, because sometimes when we have a lot of things, we do forget, because that's also called survival. Your subconscious mind's not letting you see that yet or know that yet. But when you, as Pauline said, when you peel back the onion layers, then it goes, okay, you're ready. I'm listening to you now. I'm listening. The subconscious mind's always listening. That's my theory.
I know, I agree. And I'm a big person on rewiring the mind too, with subliminal audios and things like that. But I think something practical like the tapping is something that, instead of just being on the receiving end, you can actually actively get involved with turning that energy around.
Even if you did nothing else but tap for 20 rounds or for 10 minutes every day, there would be change.
Absolutely.
Not as powerful as using words as well, but just to tap.
True.
Every day, because it's kinetic energy.
Yes, no, I totally agree. And yes, this is why I was so fascinated. I want to be on tonight, because I know that, like, it's like when I've been studying a lot now that I've figured out that my daughter, I've known my daughter has autism spectrum behaviour, but I think her youngest brother does too, and what they call stimming.
What do they call it? Stimming?
Stimming, yeah. Stimming is like, when you see autism kids, they flap or they hit or they do that's all like settling themselves down, because that's something that they can actually control. And in a lot of ways, that's their form of tapping, isn't it, really? Because they're shifting that energy and they're able to actually cope with the release of the energy. So, but I've noticed with my youngest son in particular, he has this thing that he's always shaking his hands like this. And it's like, no. And I even took him to a psychologist, and she said, no, that's not what we do. We put our hands in our pockets. And I'm like, but if that gives him relief, if that gives him a place where he feels like he's shaking off the bad feelings or whatever it means to him, well, then it's not doing anybody else any harm, is it?
No.
Allow him to do it. It's not a problem. Yeah, I know. And we didn't go to back to that psychologist, needless to say. But it's true, and I truly believe that. Thank you for showing us that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no. And autistic students have feelings, because we all have them.
Yes, and quite often they're heightened.
Yes, absolutely.
So they've got to be able to have those little things, and maybe in a lot of respects, You know, this EFT has been stemmed from looking at ASD kids and how they cope and how the whole thing releases once they've actually been able to do those movements or whatever. I don't know, but it's helpful regardless. Yeah, because it does enable you to get that emotion released.
Well, it's a bit like, you know, you go for, you get all this energy. I'll notice it with one of my boys in particular. Get physical, they get exercise, they get all that, like the movement happening, and then they're a completely different person once they've spent some time doing that. Or we say, you know, if you can't clear your head or you don't feel feeling that good, go exercise, dance to some music, go do some yoga or something that's physical, and it releases a lot of things. Then it clears a pathway for the other nice things to come in, even if we're not all the negative stuff, what we are, but we're bringing in all the other things with it.
In the school environment too, they call it PMP. I don't know what it stands for, but
Perceptual motor program.
Yeah, so it's about rolling, and it's specifically for those students who can't concentrate or get fidgety. So they do the rough and tumble, they roll down hills, they, you know, fall over, they do what potentially was what kids did years ago with getting out and, you know, climbing trees, which they're not really allowed to do in schools these days.
No.
I know.
It's so sad, isn't it? You know,
it's sad.
Well, remember those ridiculously high climbing frames, and there was no safety nets, and there was no rubber matting underneath. You just fell over and you just got up and got on with it.
I know. Today I get kids that when I'm on yard duty, they've got a tiny little, you know, been scratched by something, and they're, yeah, I need a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Go and wash it under the water.
Yes, exactly.
But they get anxious about that sort of stuff. People get anxious about all sorts of things these days in the kid environment.
Yeah, and so many kids have got it these days, and like in bygone eras, I wonder how much of that just slipped through the cracks, you know, in society, because it just was just like seen as a weakness. But now it's seen as such a big thing that people are just doping up their children on medication without actually helping them with skills and strategies that they could actually be doing.
Yeah, like I don't know about the medication side of it, but there's a lot of, you know, I would say our body's made up of a physical being with energy that we can tap into.
Yes, I agree. Totally. And this is what I'd love to be able to teach my children. I'd love to be able to see somebody hold like a tapping, an EFT workshop in my hometown, just to say, right, families welcome, you know, gold coin donation or whatever. I'm sure they'd get a lot of people turning up. And I think, you know, to equip kids at school to be able to do things like this.
You know, I work in a classroom environment, and I've been tapping with the kids in the classroom for many years. And in a year 4, the one particular story that I have is in a year 4 classroom, and this one particular girl who was so nervous about giving presentations, and that was the expectation in a year 4, that they had to perform and give a speech in front of the class. So to step that through into the point where they had to do it on their own, I used to say to the kids, okay, Friday or whatever day it was, Friday and Tuesdays are the day that you present your whatever you're going to present. And I used to say, okay, do you need support? I can stand with you. I can do particular words for you. And so some of them would take that on board. And then I taught them the EFT. And then you could see them when it was their turn, before they had their turn, they would tap. And there's also another tapping sequence that you can use with this, because these are meridians as well. And so the kids could do that quietly on the mat and didn't need to be obvious. And as a teacher sitting up in my seat and they're down below me, I could see them and I'd just go, good stuff. And kids don't do what doesn't work because it's all about cause and effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if it's effective, they'll use it. If the cause is feeling nervous and this works, they will do it. So, you know, this person in my classroom who was very, very nervous, ended up a year later, she went for, what do they call it, SRC? It's like do you have that down there, SRC?
Yep.
And then her final year at school was school captain, giving a speech on stage in front of the whole school.
Gosh, that must make you feel good. You're being part of that.
It's wonderful that they take it on board. This is simple to share.
Yes.
Wonderful that students know what it does for them. It's amazing what it does for them.
And giving them that power that they can do that for themselves.
Yes.
You know, and like all those little strategies like the deep breathing and that, if you can give them a little toolkit of different tools that they can use and empower themselves, we will have lots of good adults. We won't have all adults that are all not coping so good. Do you know what I mean? If we can get happening with kids early,
yes,
hopefully there's not as many issues coming on, and they have those little toolkits of the EFT in there and the deep breathing in there and mindfulness.
Were you taught anything, as a question, Pauline, when you were at school? Were you taught any tools, or just do your homework, get on with it?
No, nothing.
Were you taught anything, Melissa?
No.
I do remember one lady who I really, really liked as a teacher, and I remember her name being Mrs. Malloy. She tried to bring in either some sort of meditation or relaxation technique when I was late in year 5. But she only lasted 6 months, and then she had to move into state. I think she was just like a temporary teacher, because I remember lying on a mat in year 5 and learning how to deep breathe, but not understanding why we were doing it.
Yeah.
And I just remember going, this is cool, we don't have to do any schoolwork. Yeah, but that's the only thing that I ever remember, you know, in any part of my schooling was that lady in year 5. And I really missed that, because I think she would have gone and done, you know, leaps and bounds with the kids in my school. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, talking about overwhelm and things like that, I can see this is really effective for overwhelm in particular. After this outburst at my work the other night, my boss, when I turned up the following night to look after him, he was a mess.
So say that again, after work?
After that incident at work the other night, and then I turned up the following night to look after him again, he was a mess. He was crying and, you know, really shut down and not able to speak much, and just couldn't talk. And I said, are you okay? Have I upset you in any way? No, it's all fine, don't worry. And just go and do what you need to do. And I was trying to think of ways that a man who can't tap, he's quadriplegic, he cannot tap, he can't move from his neck down.
You can do it for him.
Well, see, this is the thing, I don't think he'd let me. Because I've actually said to him, he said he's had stiff neck before. I said, let me massage it for you. He won't let me touch him like that. He's purely professional. We have to roll him in bed. We have to get him into the hoist. None of that stuff he won't let you do. So I'm wondering how we could suggest something that, or maybe what I could do is I could suggest it to his main carer. Because he has a main carer during the day, and she.
You could suggest it to her. But is he got pain if you touch him?
No, he just feels awkward and feels he's a very private man.
Does he like, or does he understand what tapping does?
No, no, and I think this is probably something that I've tried to introduce like a few different concepts of the way the mind thinks is, helps you overcome certain ways of, dealing with things and things like that.
I'd like to share with him that we have a subconscious mind, and that controls 90% of what's going on. So that's your beliefs, there's what you do and don't do. That's a lot of what's going on underneath the surface, and then you have 10% on top. So you've got to align that somehow. So if he doesn't understand the energy system, well, he doesn't.
He's
might
very
understand the energy system because he's paraplegic.
Yeah, he's very much old school. Everything is, pharmaceutically based. He won't touch anything that's natural based. He has so much medication, it's not funny.
And that's what we've learnt as a society.
And I don't know. I might have a chat to his main carer.
Yeah, or you could sit there and tap. You could ask permission to tap.
Yeah.
Just tap with children in the classroom. I have a teddy bear, and the teddy bear has little points on it. Okay. And I say to the students, show the teddy bear what the points are on him or her, because he can't see them. So the child's looking at the teddy bear with the points, and then the child goes, this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here. And then they're relating it to a teddy bear. So as a grown adult, you could say, you could do this one here if you want to, just if that's a favourite tapping point. You don't have to do them all. Each meridian point is connected to organs in your body. This is my favourite one. And you just tap on it, and it's that connection with the body, it's that connection with the energy system. When we have body connection, it's easier.
Because he's a quadriplegic, in some ways, could he subconsciously, though, having issues about people touching his body unless it's for a mechanical reason? Partly that's men in some men anyway, but being a quadriplegic now, his body is the mechanics have gone, and he's only ever getting it addressed for the so-called need. So for something to happen, then for someone else to touch it in a different way than a mechanical way, and then maybe if it can ever get to do the EFT, and that might release some of that, he's in fear, flight and fight mode there, because he's, everything's holding on. He's not.
That's right.
Yeah, and another thing is because the subconscious mind is listening, it's listening verbally as well.
Because I've tried to talk to him about like the way that aligning your belief systems to manifest. I'm big on law of attraction and manifesting, because I've seen so much of it work in my life, and he just laughs at me. He can't understand it, because I can prove to him, even with financial gains and things like that we've had in the past, and I've actually got photographic proof. He will sit there and laugh at you and say, oh, well, the world's been good to you, Melissa, but obviously not to me. And that is that sort of mode of thinking. But, look, at the same time, he's a fun larrikin.
You could say to him, you could chat with him and say, the world has not been good to me. It's never been good to me. The world has not been good to me. It's never been good to me. And so then you ping and pong from opposite to positive to negative, until he goes out of that mindset. Your life's good, but mine's not.
Yeah.
You can see where his life has been good. And that potential for good can also happen.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. It's just getting that strategy. But I agree with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, but you know, people have got to be ready for it, unfortunately. That's the worst part. That's the worst part. You know, we can pay for people to do this, this, and this, and they don't really want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Look at I'm trying to get tradesmen to do something for me at the moment just to give me a quote. Goodness me, it's like pulling teeth. It's ridiculous. You know, they all turn up for a quote, but they just don't send a quote. And it's like, you end up by chasing them up, and then, you know, then you find out because it's an older house, they don't know what they're dealing with. They much prefer to deal with new houses because it's easier, and they still get the same sort of money. So it's like, you know.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just, yeah, you just got to laugh. You just think, well, you know, this is part of what people are like. And like you said, if they're not ready, they're not ready. They don't want to do it.
They're not ready.
And really, you can only sow the seed, Melissa. Yeah, he takes
I may not be the one that reaps the harvest. Might be somebody else.
That's right. And you never know, it's sowing the seed and he comes across somebody else that mentions it down the track and he might be ready for something else. But I feel that he's all stuck inside that body of his, which he is, actually, but also from all the his past and his trauma, he's holding on to some stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's too frightening to come out.
Yeah.
As well. So
he's extremely private. He won't reveal anything to you unless it's generic, above board, everyday, simple stuff, trivial sort of stuff. He won't talk to you about anything private.
Yeah, it's probably been a very traumatic experience. Very big trauma.
Well, he's only been a quadriplegic for half his life. So the other half, you know, who knows what went on. All I know.
How old is he?
Well, that's another thing. He won't tell me the truth with that either. But the first, I think it's the first couple of days I turned up for the first shifts, I got 3 different ages given to me and none of them were confirmed. And I was like, well, if I looked at him, I would say he's around the same age as me, about 48, 49. He's got a young daughter. Well, I say young daughter, she's probably in her mid to late 20s. She's got a couple of little girls of her own, so he's a grandfather. Yeah. So, and he's divorced. And
there's a lot going on for him.
There's a lot going on. So I don't know. Like, but that's as far as he will let you know. So, and that's okay. And by client, you know, care and privilege, I wouldn't reveal any more than that either. But it's a situation that I think I would love to be able to help him enjoy what sort of life he does have by shifting that perspective. You know,
as Pauline said, you got to plant the seeds.
Yes.
And then you planted the seed, and if they want that to grow, and that's the worst part, isn't it? Like I want to help so many people, and damn.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just go in there tomorrow and go, oh, you say, how you going? I go, oh, good, I was on such and such last night doing this, such and such, and it's really good to do this, and then walk away. And then he's already sown a seed already without actually even stepping on toes.
Yeah, just having conversations plant seeds.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this for, Sue?
Oh, I first started EFT in 2006.
Wow.
So I'm an advanced EFT practitioner, and EFT is just one way. It's not the only way. But out of my EFT training, I learned that the subconscious mind listens. Acknowledgement is very powerful. Very powerful. And the subconscious mind listens more than we realize. And that's why sometimes we can spiral into the negative. When, like I was bullied a few years ago, and I used to come home and have private conversations with myself at night time, and my subconscious mind was listening to that in the middle of the night, and it was all taken on board. because it became really hard to let that go.
Mm.
And then it was the EFT that allowed me to let that go.
Mm.
Yeah, and because I'm a school teacher, I use it in the classrooms all the time, because kids know it to work. They don't need all the detailed, you know, your nervous system. They don't need the detailed anything.
Mm.
I just brainstorm something on a whiteboard. Okay, what's coming up for you? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Where's that in your body? Where's that for you in your body? Where's that for in your body? Give it a number. And then I just do a collective tapping round, and they go, okay, so what's your number now? Was it 7? And they just go, 2. Just like that.
Fantastic.
And then you do another couple of rounds, and I go, what's your number now? Nothing. So I use it a lot in the school environment for peer group pressure.
Oh, yes.
How they're feeling, which translates into adult world as peer group pressure, bullying, political stuff in the work environment, and how you're feeling about that. Same, but in adult world, because we all have an inner child within as well.
Yes, that's
Yes.
very true.
Which I was going to ask you about, Sue, and then we probably should wrap it up because we.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not it isn't something that needs to come up yet, but talking about the inner child and addressing it as a young child early before into adult years. But if you are an adult, a lot of the things that have happened will have been from your past younger child coming into the adult years. So I guess from people that don't know a lot about this, I'm thinking of you like you were talking about talking to yourself and talking to your inner child and helping it to heal with the adult child. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Okay, so for sure. So when we are children, we have experiences. When we're adults, we have experiences. But particularly between the ages of 0 and 10, we're forming beliefs about things. So then when we come into another experience, we have a belief already. So then we have that experience, and out of that experience, we learn. That was scary. I feel anxious. I'm not good enough. I don't want to speak anymore. She doesn't like me because I'm this. So kids are really, really good at assessing themselves, especially when they're in a big group of people or in a classroom environment. The kids will know who's top dog and who's bottom dog, putting that bluntly. So when you're an adult and you're needing to look at your inner child, means that you have to go back to those experiences in your life and one specific event, and you tell that story. So that one story is your core reason to hold on to that belief. And so that belief lives with you until you find a new belief. And sometimes you can make that belief, no, you can't make it. It's almost as if that belief gives an energy out there to prove you right. So if you believe that you're not good enough, it's almost like you do everything to make that true.
Like attracts like. And if you believe it, everything will verify it for you.
Yes, it does. Like, yes, same. I call that same therapy. So for little children, between the ages of 0 and 10. They're very informed by their parents. It's called theta energy, theta living. And there's a necessity in that because they follow you. The theta means curious energy. I'm looking at you for what I need to do, basically, in a nutshell. So in amongst all of that, they're adapting their way of living, and they form beliefs about that. So the inner child is always within until you make it something else, to the adult. And so sometimes I will say when I do a session with someone, and that's okay for her to have felt that way, or what belief did you form back then? It's okay. She was young. That was then. This is now. It's okay to let her go. You're the adult now. You can look after yourself. Does that make sense?
No, definitely.
Questions on that one?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Sue. I so appreciate that. And thank you for Pauline for hosting this. This has been fantastic.
Well, thank you for joining us, both of you.
Yes.
It's been good. It's good. I'm not sure which snippets were from which parts am I putting out there, but we'll do some serious editing. But
yeah, my apologies for giving too much information. That was just like to put it in context. It was just a bit difficult not to. So
Loved everything you said, Melissa.
Sorry.
I loved everything that you shared and said.
Thank you so much.
And it's actually, and that's another thing about it, is the body will purge. It could have been throwing up, diarrhea, whatever, but that's what for you. So
well, I give you permission to use it if it's going to help somebody. I'll give you permission to use it. No, seriously.
Well, two things. That was not even what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the amount of content that's actually in this. Oh, which bits do I share and which bits do I hold on to? And
well, you're true.
But the other bit is kids too, the same. You've got kids that have diarrhea and they vomit, they sweat, they do all the things. It doesn't matter if it's a kid or an adult, that fear, that worry, that nervousness, that whatever that feeling is, it's there and it's coming out in the body in whatever shape or form. Could be coming out in their skin, asthma attack.
That's right.
You know,
actually, I've got a lady, my hairdresser at the moment, she's purging all her contents of her house that have any association with her previous relationship she just broke up with. And she's sick. She's physically sick. And I said to her, I said, you are purging that relationship from your physical body too. And she just sort of looked at me. She said, you're kidding. I said, no. And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, whenever you get rid of bad energy, I said, your body will show you the what's actually going on in your external, in your internal as well. So
yeah, it's kind of like you're letting go emotionally, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and I would say that even in physical things, since my separation, nearly everything we owned beforehand has now disappeared from this house.
Yes, and it's necessary.
Without realising it, I've gone, I don't want that anymore. Not because of any feeling, it just naturally is just happening. Or it breaks and I get rid of it.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. I'm shifting from the old into the new.
Absolutely.
I made a conscious decision. I had a person living here, wasn't a male, but was a student. Everything about her was negative. I got rid of rubbish bins. Anything that created my connection, cause and effect, I got rid of.
Yeah.
Everything was gone.
It's vital. It's vital.
To release it. No thoughts about that anymore.
No, it's wonderful, isn't it? I've given away households of furniture, and I go to wonder if that's how I'm finding free things on Gumtree. It's like all of a sudden, like whatever I've needed just comes across my path because I've thrown it away. The next comes in, you know. You think, oh, this is lovely, a big score here, but you know, it's just one of those things.
Yes,
you think, you know,
one of those things. Cool.
You need to purge it.
And I think even just like, you know, weight weight issues, like you're either underweight person and you're losing weight, or a person who's gaining weight or holding on to weight. That's the physical body doing holding on to things, or
that's what I need to deal with. Yeah, that's what I need to deal with.
Because I'm just thinking again, we're talking about women and families and things, and there'll be women out there that are either got weight on or I can't put weight on, or they're losing weight, or they've got an addiction to a food item, and all these things that we're feeding our emotions with. Be another topic for another day.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Well, that's what I signed up for the tapping course for, to release the excess weight. Because I know a lot of the weight that I put on during pregnancy was all fear-based. And that's still going. Even though my children are now 15 and 13, it's like, no, that's still there. I need to deal with that. I need to release the emotion that's attached to that, because I have no affinity with that anymore. I'm totally fine with being a mother. I was totally fearful of being a mother at the time. I'm totally fine with being a mother now. This needs to go. Yes, it's one of those things. But yeah, you're right. And then I didn't know about the positions. Like, I would just be clueless about where to tap, because I just didn't know where to tap. I'm like, it could have been anywhere. But obviously,
Melissa, you can Google that, tapping points.
I think I need to print out a chart or something.
Start here, there, under there. Be the child if you're not quite sure. The ape.
Yes, definitely.
I'll put one a post for you, Melissa.
Oh, yes, that'd be great.
For those that didn't attend, we'll give them a...
Yes. And then they'll go, oh, what's that? They'll have to go and watch the recording then.
They will.
Yes.
It could be the teacher mode. You're naughty. You didn't turn up.
That's it. Fantastic session, ladies. Thank you so much.
I loved it. Enjoyed it. Do more, Pauline.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Sue. Yeah, I'm just starting out. But, yeah, we'll get there. I just think...
Yes. Yeah. She definitely has this fantastic niche. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, it's good that you're consistent, Melissa.
And you know what? It only starts with one, and if I can be that one, bring it on.
That's right. We keep putting it out there in our silly characters. We're laughing.
That's it.
Either of you have any suggestions of what I do next? I'm open to whatever. I'm just trusting the universe and keep sending me messages like, oh, I might interview soon. And here I am.
Well, weight is a big one. Weight is a big one for so many women, because particularly like you're talking to stay-at-home mums or homeschooling mums, most of us, unless we're super organic and really healthy orientated, which not all of us are,
Oh, I could do one on weight.
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
But would we bring up a lot of the onion layer stuff, Sue, if we did that? Or because you're a practitioner, then you just work through us like in that kind of format?
We could do a session called Borrowing Benefits. No, the weight thing, so long as it was under a level 5. So the weight thing is the association to something like we were talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess I don't know how you would have, because I'm thinking how deep it could be, even though I know you're saying level 5, but...
No, it would be brainstorming for people. Where did you learn this? And so long as if it was under a 5, it would be okay. So it's not bringing up any deep-seated stuff, because people do eat emotional eating, but people also do eat because then it's association that brings joy.
Yep.
True.
But that can be deep-seated too.
That
can be deep-seated too. But I guess what you sort of have it as more of a discussion rather than doing the tapping process.
Yes, I could give the questions because the subconscious mind is listening.
And we don't need to get into that raw stuff. Yeah.
And if you
we don't have to go deep. The subconscious mind won't let you go deep if it's not going to go there.
Not ready, yeah. And I was just if you continue on this vein, you know, for a couple of sessions or whatever, you know, you deem as appropriate, and you've already got that chart out there, I think that's going to be a huge, like, you know, advertising thing for you, because a lot of people don't understand EFT. I know I haven't, and I still am learning so much. But there are things that we can do at home while we're, you know, at home with the kids. We can teach our kids while we're homeschooling. You know, if it happens to be homeschooling mums that, you know, pop into the session for whatever reason. But you know, I think you will find that will be, you know, they may have a child with an eating issue. They may have, you know, I mean, I know that my kids have got weight issues, and I know why they've got weight issues, because of the stress we've been under with multiple house moves. But it's one of those things that I know that all mums deal with eating issues, whether it's their own or whether it's a child. You know, it could be a good eating issue, could be a bad eating issue. It could be overweight, could be underweight. Could be, you know, it's really good to have the information session to see where all that comes from, so they can either see what the child's going through if the child's not able to be, you know, communicative in that respect, or, you know.
It doesn't have to go that deep either.
No, exactly.
No,
so
you
information finding.
You could brainstorm your favourite food.
Mm.
You know, well, the food that your go-to food.
Mm.
And then you can, what you doing there, Pauline?
Sorry, I'm just being constructive.
Then you can, you know, you could give that, you could put the chocolate in front of you and then tap on that at that level. That's all.
Yes.
To see what. But I mean, yeah, there's always onion layers with everything. Always.
And are you ready for new customers then, Sue, when they start, you know, reveling and going, oh. Are you ready?
Yes.
I am ready.
Yes, I was going to say, and make sure you put your price list up. Make sure you know everybody knows how much you charge, because you might have an influx.
Yeah. These sessions, they're free.
Oh, yes, I know. But then the private ones that branch off, that's where the business starts to go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, look, I also just love sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, for me, once you learn, teach.
Yes, I agree.
I'm a teacher.
Yes.
That's the motto, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep, very much.
All right,
well,
my
thank
darlings.
you, lovely ladies. I better go and get some children to bed.
Yes, me too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue, so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, great. It was great.
Awesome. Thank you for not chickening out on me.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
See ya.